So, Bhante, when will you do your arms round? Do you do that every morning?
Yeah,
You'll be doing it.
yes, I go at 5:30, leave here,
Five
and
thirty, right?
walk about 1 kilometre, and that's into the village, and start there. Then a little truck picks us up and takes us into the town, and we walk along the road and a circuit there, and then the truck brings us all the way back to the monastery, because it's quite a long walk to walk back again, because it's all uphill. So we walk more or less downhill there, but of course we have
Yes.
to go with bare feet because this is the tradition, and it's quite difficult ground, so my feet are rather not too bad. It's been a week and they've survived, so nothing too serious, but it's quite uncomfortable. You get used to it, so I've just not been used to the soil, and the tracks where I've been in India have been quite sandy. Here it's a little bit more uh, stony tracks and such like. But it's a very,
Sounds
very
dreadful.
beautiful
Is that
thing.
not negotiable? That's part of the package, the bare feet?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. And you can only offer, you have to have bare feet when you're offering the food. So the lay people have, they take their shoes off. But it's a beautiful experience. We go down at 5:30, it's still dark, it's before dawn. By the time we reach the village, it's just about dawn, which is when we're allowed to begin alms round. So that's 20 minutes before sunrise. When you can see the lines on the palm of your hand without light, that means it's dawn. And our monastic day is dawn until dawn. That's how we measure our days. So our day begins then. By that time, people have already cooked rice, so you get from each house, one member of the family will come out with a bowl. Often the whole family are out, and they'll stand behind them, touching them, or they'll be kneeling in Anjali on the floor, and they'll put just one ball of rice, sticky rice, in your bowl, and then you go from house to house. And of course, they're giving, so they've got the benefit, they're perfecting their dana parami, and they're giving, and we're giving them the opportunity to give. They're not giving very much, just a little rice, because they're not rich families, but at the end of the alms round, the end of the walk, there's a lot of rice in your bowl. And of course there's all the other things, the curries, the sauces, the fruits, and all the wonderful foods that they offer these days. But traditionally it would have just been that one ball of rice and maybe some fish paste or something, you know. But now you get some wonderful offerings. And of course then people also come to the monastery itself with other requisites like toothpaste, soap, and anything else that's necessary for the monastery, and food also. So there's an abundance here. We don't starve. So I shall fatten up now. I shall get fat like Ajahn Brahm in Australia. I'll be a fat monk.
This is like a little chipmunk almost, isn't it? It's quite.
Yes, yes. Well, you see, it's a well-supported monastery, and this is they all are in Thailand. So these days, even this with just a few monks. I mean, it's a big monastery, but there's just a couple of monks. I'm not sure why there's not so many monks, because I don't speak Thai. I don't know anything about this place. I do have one of the local lay people who has been coming here since he was a boy. He was a monk here. He's done temporary ordination here 2 or 3 times from the village. He doesn't live here now, but his daughter speaks English, and he's going to write a history of this monastery and who's who, and she's going to translate it and send it to me, so that I know who's who and where I am and why it's here. I know this monastery, the land, the original monk about 50 odd years ago came here and decided he was going to live in this forest because it's near the beach and it's nice, much like I did in India there. But the owner of the land was one of the estranged or abdicated queens of Thailand. She was in Europe for some reason at the time, but she found out about this and she said, I'll give you that land. So he established the monastery here, because that does happen if you're a monk in Thailand in those days. You lived in a forest, and then the people who owned it would give it to you to make a monastery. So this monastery grew from that. This is what I've gleaned from little snippets I could understand. The surrounding area is a national park, but it's actually owned or used by the Navy here. So it's government-owned land, even the beach that surrounds it. So it's very well protected. I mean, no one can come in or out. You go through monks can, but anyone else, you're going through a naval security like checkpoint. It's very relaxed. I mean, there's no gates or anything, but there's a guard who sees anyone coming in and out. So it's very safe, very private, just the nature, just the animals. That's why it's such a beautiful private beach in this whole bay. So that's all I know about it, but it's relatively modern. The temple's quite large and looks like a 1950s, 60s, 70s maybe building, and the sala similarly. And these wooden huts, well, I suppose they've got a lifespan of about maximum 10 years because the termites eat them eventually, but they turn those around. These are like sheds on stilts with little stairs up to them and a little veranda. You can see the room in. It's an empty sort of room, but it's perfect. It's shelter. There's no mosquitoes in here this morning. It's very nice. And then we eat by the lay people are there. They come as well in the morning. Half a dozen. At the weekends, quite a few more. On a Nuposita coming up on Saturday, it's the new moon. I'm thinking there might be quite a lot of people here because it's a proper holy day for the Buddhist community here, and it's on a Saturday coincidentally, so I should imagine they're off work and it might be busier. But they come here so we get back to the monastery after the alms round at about 6:45, 7 o'clock. We settle, they bring all the food in, then they come and offer it to us again because we empty our bowls into one communal area. They come and then offer all the other foods and what have you to the senior monk down, 1, 2 to me. And then there's the 2 junior monks, and then the nuns have their pick. And this goes on until about 7:30. We give them the blessing, Yanamodara, and chanting. And then we just get on and eat at 8 o'clock. And we usually, nice relaxed eating pace, usually finish about 40 minutes later, 20 to 9. Clean our bowls, and then from 9 a.m. we're free. That's it. At 2 p.m. is our official work period. So at 2 p.m. we do our sweeping or whatever. But I mean, I do sweeping whenever. Then the evening puja is quite early here. I'm not sure why. The only puja of the day, and that's at 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. And that's a nice, simple, like more or less what you've just chanted there, but in the Pali, the opening, the dedications of offerings, and then the usual Itipiso and so on and so forth, and a couple of the Ratana Sutta, the Metta Sutta, then about 30 minutes, 40 minutes meditation, and it in total an hour. So by 5 o'clock, then again, that's the end of this monastic day for the lay people. But sometimes I've already had, even in this week, visitors coming then to my kuti, and they sit on the veranda and they have questions, and I try and answer if they have a translator, obviously. So already there's some people will come, but just nice, relaxed, informal, sit on the veranda there.
Are you the only foreigner monk?
Yes. Yeah, Phra Farang, that's the correct term, yes. Yeah, I'm the only foreigner at this monastery. Well, there's only myself, then there's the 2 senior monks, bhikkhus. I'm not sure how many vasas they are. And there are 2 samaneras who are novices, they're all Thai, four Thais and myself.
Oh, right.
I think the foreign monks, you see, don't generally come to these kind of monasteries because unless they would speak, most people don't speak Thai fluently enough. But I prefer this situation. There's no need to be having conversations. The rules are there. The Ajahn Chah's Korwat, which is the bylaws of his monasteries, is down to every point, from how to drink a cup of coffee to going to the toilet. Every rule, how you behave. And that's how you can get accepted quickly. If you know that, they know within 24 hours you're okay to stay, because you don't need to speak. You're following, or you do everything at the right. That timetable that I've just outlined is the same everywhere. Chitta Viveka to Wadpanana Chat, it's all the same. and there's the bell. It must be 4 o'clock. Can you hear?
Right, 53. You're being summoned.
Well,
It's a
no,
lovely start to the day, isn't it?
that's the waking up bell. Is it 4 o'clock? It must be. Let's have a look.
Well, I make it at 8:53.
Oh,
54.
Yeah, 3:54. So he's ringing the bell just a little early. Now all the dogs will start howling. So that's the start of the monk's day here at the monastery. And now it will do this.
Is that mechanical, or is that someone's duty to ring that bell?
It's the youngest monk's duty. It's the newest monk. The novice monk is out there doing that, and it's a very beautiful bell tower with 3 bells on 3 levels. And he at the morning is ringing the biggest bell, and that's quite some distance away from where I'm sitting. It's at least 200 meters.
Oh, right. It's a nice sound. Nice.
It's a beautiful.
It's not too jarring to wake up to, but
I'm usually awake well before. I make sure I'm awake before that. I wouldn't want to be woken by it. Yes. And now there's nothing really.
Do you have an ablutions place? Do you have a communal ablution?
No, not communal. I have my own little wash house. So outside, it's a little building. If you look on my videos, if you see those videos, there's a little shot. I don't show much of the place, but there is some. You can see my kuti and you can see my wash house, which is a little. It's actually there's a lovely big earthen pot in there, which you fill with water from a tap. It has a tap inside and it has a toilet.
Yeah.
And then you use a bucket and a scoop and bathe yourself like this. Obviously only cold water, but that's fine because it's hot here.
I recall that in some places in India, a very refreshing way to...
It's quite a bit quicker than a shower, really. It's not very economical use of water, though, that's the thing. But that doesn't seem to matter so much in these places. You wouldn't want a water meter, like you have there. But it comes out of a well here in the ground, it's from nature, it's free.
Right.
You shouldn't have to pay for water, really, should you? It's what they do with it, I suppose. Put all those chemicals in it, I have frogs in my water. There are actual frogs. So when I scoop the water out,
Stayed a bit actually on the volume. I think it's a little further away from the mic than you were.
Oh yeah.
Originally.
I haven't got my ear things in. So.
All right.
And the bell's finished now. Can you hear me? Let me try and put my ear thing in. Is that better? Hello. Yeah, it's I think because the bell was taking up the sound, and it goes on for some time. This bell. There's a sort of a specific Buddhist bell tone. Have you heard this before? It's dung, 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 and then it gets quicker and quicker. Dung, 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 like this. It's a kind of appeal you call it with bells, don't you? That they use in all Buddhist monasteries, it's the same. No, I don't have to, but it's like it is because nobody knows about it. Although this is not a tourist area, everywhere starts like that. Where I was in India there were no tourists there for many years until a few years ago, and then COVID came along. So when I was there, it was a very beautiful place because it was no visitors to India. And then now it's all opened up again and it's been heard of. It's atrocious. The roads are busy. You can't even walk down the roads because there's buses and trucks and everything going on. There's building all over the place. There's hotels being built, restaurants being built, chai shops being built, all in the space of since it's been reopened to tourism. And this can happen very quickly in a place. In Cambodia, the Chinese have done that. It's ruined anything in Cambodia. There's very few places left of Cambodia that are nice. This is a little different because it's in the middle of this government owned area, and Thailand, being a Buddhist country, is very strict on this, so no one can wander in. But no, out of the respect to the monks here and the lay people of this monastery, it's their place of practice. So without their permission, I don't say where it is. I've told you where it is. You can Google it on Google Maps. But it's not a place that's open. Nobody had stopped wandering in. Nobody would be stopped from wandering in. I wandered in here. That's how I found it. But obviously, if a bus turned up of Chinese tourists with cameras, then I would hope that maybe someone would suggest maybe it's not quite appropriate. But maybe they wouldn't. They probably wouldn't. But if you were to sort of advertise willy-nilly, say, hey, look, you know, people put like, what do you call them, tourist videos, vlogs and things like that. Like I remember, you know, at Hill Head when I was living on the beach there, 3 years, nobody else, just me and one other guy up the other end. Someone came down in a van, living in a van, making a video about living in a van on a beach, and he said where this place was. And within a week, that beach was full of other people living in vans. And then living in vans is now banned there. It's now a public paid-for car park. Yeah? So you've got to be very careful. Well, you're not now. It was unheard of. No, it was unheard of until some fool put it on the video. Then it now you're not. No, I did it. I was actually able to live there though, with permission by the local authorities for 6 months when I was stuck there between Cambodia and India. I was there and I couldn't leave. My planes got cancelled to India, so I lived on that beach in my van, and the officials came along and said, "You can't live here." I said, "Well, this is my only place to live. I'm on my way to India from Cambodia, and I live here in my van. I have done for the last 3 years, no problem." And they said, "Well, in that case, as long as you treat this as your lockdown address, then that is fine." So that's what I did, and I was there for 6 months, no problem at all, which was beautiful. I really enjoyed that because there was nobody on that beach, as you know. Everyone had to stay in, apart from dog walkers for half an hour, once or twice a day.
You've disappeared. Your voice has disappeared again.
I put that thing back in. I took it out because I thought now the bell had stopped. Can you hear me okay? Good. Bye bye, Sue. Bye bye. Oh, I think everyone's going. I'll put this thing on. Okay. Bye bye, everybody, then. Okay. Bye bye. Bye.